Inside the headquarters of Denning Pharmaceutical, a former employee named John rides the elevator to the executive floor, cracking open his suitcase to reveal a handgun. Moments later, he storms into the boardroom, guns down several high-ranking executives, then returns to the lobby. Facing the arriving police, John declares somebody had to do something and takes his own life. News outlets quickly report that Denning is pushing a brand new drug through FDA approval, even though it has already caused fatal side effects in 3 patients. The company now faces a major class action suit and plummeting stock prices, so it's scrambling to destroy incriminating evidence. Prominent attorney Allen decides to spearhead the lawsuit against Denning. Despite the damage it could do to his career, he assigns legal assistant Tom to handle the filings and reminds him that every Monday he must reauthorize his key card because all badges reset over the weekend. With John, Denning's key whistleblower, now gone, Tom proposes adding recent heart attack victims to the case, but Allen rejects the idea. Smaller claims won't generate enough money. Soon after, a different partner summons Tom to discuss the Gambizzi crime family litigation. Tom had submitted a memo requesting to join that team, but the partner rips it up and scolds him for neglecting his current caseload. Heading to the file room, Tom shelves the case file Allen just dismissed. His girlfriend and co-worker Anna slips in so they can steal a quick kiss. Hours later, Allen announces that the office servers have been down since the previous night, so staff may leave early. As Tom gathers his things, Allen pulls him aside. The memo about Gambizzi was a reckless blunder, and Tom is fired on the spot. In the elevator, Tom finds himself beside an unfamiliar man. Once they reach the lobby, the stranger sits a suitcase on the floor. Immediately, another man picks it up and rides the elevator back upstairs, behavior that strikes Tom as odd. Curious, Tom checks the elevator panel to see which floor the man selected, but his own key card has already been deactivated. When he starts to leave, he notices the first stranger loitering outside and grows uneasy. Tom persuades the security guard to reactivate the elevator for him. Upstairs, he discovers co-worker Roger sitting at Tom's desk. Roger acts oddly and has the very file Tom filed away earlier. Growing suspicious, Tom discreetly starts an audio recording on his phone and hides it in a pencil cup. Continuing his sweep, Tom spots the second stranger tampering with the electrical panel. A lawyer approaches the man, asks for identification, and clearly doesn't believe his claim that he's from maintenance. The lawyer pulls out her phone to verify the stranger's credentials, but he draws a pistol and shoots her dead on the spot. While he drags the body away to hide it, Tom darts into the restroom and nearly stumbles over the security guard's corpse inside a stall. As he kneels to check for a pulse, the toilet's motion sensor triggers a loud flush. Alarmed, Tom shuts the stall door, climbs onto the seat, and presses himself against the partition. Seconds later, the killer strides in, rinsing blood from his hands and muttering to the guard's body that he still needs the keys. Tom slides beneath the divider into the adjacent stall just in time. The killer strips the dead guard of his keys, sidearm, and radio. Perched on the toilet, Tom almost sets off another flush, but catches himself. Fortunately, the killer's own toilet whooshes first, masking any sound. The man smashes the radio, strides out, shuts down the fire sprinkler system, and then slips into the file room to wire explosives. Tom sprints to the break room and finds Roger, blurting out that there's an armed murderer loose. They bolt to the elevator, only to discover it's offline, then race to the emergency exit, its crash bar already broken by the intruder. Trapped, they hurry back to reception and try a workstation computer, but the network is still down. Spotting the killer approaching, they duck out of sight. The man notices the active terminal, yanks the Ethernet cable, and prowls into the cubicles, flashing his own keycard. Once he's gone, Tom swipes Roger's badge, unlocks the executive suite door, and tells Roger to retrieve his phone and dial 911. As Tom seals the door, his jacket catches, jammed in the frame. Roger reaches his desk and calls his wife, but before he can raise the alarm, the killer looms over him, forcing him to reassure her that everything's fine. Tom watches through the glass, horrified, then dashes to the break room and arms himself with a kitchen knife. After Roger hangs up, the killer demands to know if anyone else is working late. Roger lies, claiming he is alone. The killer loops an electrical cord around Roger's throat and strangles him, every gruesome second captured by Tom's hidden phone. By the time Tom returns, The workspace is empty. He snatches his phone and tries to dial 911, but the battery dies in his hand. With the phone plugged in, Tom searches the dim office floor and eventually finds Roger slumped lifeless in his desk chair. Just then, the killer returns and immediately notices Tom's jacket jammed in the executive suite door. Tom snatches Roger's keycard and slips into a supply closet, only to recoil when he sees the lawyer's corpse already stuffed inside. Out in the corridor, the murderer begins dragging Roger's body while speaking into his own phone, angrily telling someone that no one was supposed to be upstairs tonight. At that exact moment, Tom's phone draws enough power to boot up, and Anna's incoming call makes it ring. Hearing the sound, the killer picks up the device, declines the call, and discovers the video of Roger's murder. He deletes the clip on the spot, opens the settings, and finds Tom's name and photo. Realizing the jacket's owner is still nearby, he calls out Tom, but Tom stays crouched beneath a desk in the dark. Once the killer stalks away, Tom darts into another office and lights several sheets of paper, hoping the smoke will trigger the fire alarm system. Nothing happens. Glancing out the window, he spots someone working late in the building across the street. Tom stuffs the burning papers into a metal trash can, tips it against the drapes, and fans the flames until the curtains ignite. The neighbor notices the blaze, and Tom signals frantically for them to phone the police. Unfortunately, the killer smells smoke, grabs a fire extinguisher, and sprints toward the growing fire. Tom slips out just in time, pretending to speak on a landline so the witness will assume help is already on the way. Moments later, Tom reaches reception and uses the workstation to program a fresh keycard. The killer nearly catches him, but Tom puts the computer to sleep and hides beneath the desk. After the man leaves, Tom resets the electronic locks across the floor, effectively disabling the killer's badge. He then kills most of the overhead lights and hurries to Alan's office, only to find Alan conversing with an unfamiliar woman. A gunshot reverberates as the killer blasts the door lock. Tom ducks behind a filing cabinet. The intruder appears to recognize Alan, but when the woman unexpectedly draws a pistol, he immediately shoots her dead. He scoops up her weapon and orders Alan to remain in the office before marching off. Alone with Alan, Tom demands to know who the woman was. Alan explains she belonged to the Gambizzi crime family and was preparing to testify against her husband, so the assassin was almost certainly hired by the mafia to silence her. Mid-conversation, they hear a metallic clanging. The killer is hacking at the file room entrance with an axe. The door, however, is reinforced steel with bullet-resistant glass. Brute force won't budge it. Realizing they're still cornered, Tom and Alan start down a corridor looking for another exit, only to duck back into the shadows when they hear the killer's footsteps closing in. The killer arrives dragging the janitor's body and, mimicking his voice, calls out for Tom to come out or risk getting killed. Suspicious, Tom tests him by asking for the nickname the janitor always used for him. The killer fumbles. It's clear he doesn't know, so Tom correctly deduces the janitor is already dead. In a new tactic, the killer reactivates the elevators, hoping to lure them out. Cautiously, Tom and Alan move into the corridor, only to find the janitor's corpse with a mocking "you win" note taped to it. Suddenly, a phone begins ringing. They rush back to the desk, only to see that the call is coming from Tom's own number. Alan instantly recognizes it as a trap, but as he tries to retreat, the killer shoots him in the arm. They flee through the office with the killer in pursuit, bullets flying. They manage to lock themselves inside a room, but it's not reinforced, and the killer starts hacking through the door with his axe. Before he can get through, Tom and Alan slip into the file room, which is reinforced and secure. Tom grabs the killer's phone to try to call for help, but it's locked with a password. Worse, the killer still has Tom's own unlocked phone and uses it to text Anna, luring her to the building. Realizing what's happening, Tom gets a risky idea. He runs to the copy machine and begins preparing a fake. Meanwhile, the killer lets Anna inside and quickly holds her at gunpoint, demanding her phone so he can destroy it. Just in time, Tom arrives and offers a trade: Anna's life for a keycard. The killer isn't convinced until Alan appears to assist with the negotiation. After the killer drops his gun, Alan walks the fake keycard over to him. The killer releases Anna, but then quickly pulls out the guard's gun. Alan reacts instinctively, shoving him so Anna can escape, but the killer punches him and drags him back to the file room. There, he angrily reveals that Alan failed to clear the office, implying they were collaborating, and Alan left loose ends. The killer activates the explosives just as Tom shows up with a gun. But when he tries to fire, he realizes it's empty. The killer has all the bullets. Seizing the moment, Alan escapes, slamming the reinforced door shut and locking the killer inside. The killer tries to flee using the keycard, but it doesn't work. Tom had forged a fake using the copy machine. The explosives go off, igniting a blaze among the file shelves. The killer tries extinguishing it, but quickly succumbs to the smoke, collapsing. Tom re-enters the room, throws away the gun, and manages to stop the fire by pushing the flaming shelves over. Suddenly, the killer revives and attacks. They fight, and although the killer gains the upper hand, Anna rushes in to help. She's knocked aside, but the distraction gives Tom a shot. He lands a punch, and both men crash to the ground. At that moment, Alan appears and shoots the killer, ending it. As he bleeds out, the killer whispers 11-22 to Tom. Tom grabs his keys, and while Anna uses them to restart the elevators, Tom returns to the office desks. There, he finds the case file revealing the entire scheme. The pharmaceutical company was eliminating anyone and anything that could expose their deadly drug, including their own internal records. Tom types 11-22 into the killer's phone and successfully unlocks it. Digging through the contacts, he discovers something damning. Alan's phone number is saved in the device. The truth hits him. Alan was working with the pharmaceutical company all along. He had been paid off to sabotage the case, and he hired the killer to destroy the files and eliminate Roger, who likely knew too much. When confronted, Alan defends himself by claiming the corporations are far more dangerous than the mafia and insists this was the only way to survive in that world. He even tries to bribe Tom, offering him money to stay quiet. But Tom refuses, takes the case file, and walks away. Unable to face prison or public exposure, Alan takes his own life. As sirens grow louder and police arrive, Tom grabs Anna and they hurry out of the building before they can be seen. Meanwhile, deep in the file room, the copy machine continues to churn out thousands of copies of the suppressed evidence, documents that could expose the entire operation. One of the arriving officers finds the room, and he's not just any cop. He's the same man who had earlier left the gun for the killer. Realizing what's been uncovered, he finds Tom's phone clutched in the killer's hand and immediately recognizes the threat. Without hesitation, the crooked cop calls a hitman, ordering him to track down and eliminate Tom, to silence him before the truth can come out.